I've been thinking about something. Seems like everywhere you turn, somebody's angry, somebody's arguing. Everybody have an opinion, and everybody feel like they have to respond to everything that's going on around them. Remember, you don't have to respond to everything. Let me just ask you something. At what point will you stop letting the chaos around you control what you do or what you say? At what point? At what point will we also stop putting the culture ahead of kingdom? Meaning what God says. What is God's thoughts about it? What does the Bible tell us to do? Remember this, everything never deserves a response. You don't have to respond to everything. Every argument don't need your voice, and every person who misunderstands you does not need a sermon of an explanation. Sometimes just let your yes be yes and your no be no. We have to learn to protect our character and not engage. We see things online, and most of the time we don't even know the whole story. And we get involved in so much cultural or racial issues, and we just form an opinion without knowing the whole story. Sometimes we just need to sit back, pray, and ask God to reveal things to us. And even in that, we're not going to know everything. He's not going to reveal everything to us. But it does not mean join a campaign of what other people are doing. See, when you're a Christian, you got to line up. When you're a believer, everything you do, every part of your life need to line up with what the Word said. It does not mean you won't make mistakes, but it means I can't just go along to get along. I have to be kingdom minded. Remember Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. Now that verse is talking about something else, but I'm emphasizing seek ye first the kingdom. And remember, God said, in all thy ways acknowledge me and I'll direct your path. And so sometimes we're so quick to speak without acknowledging and even asking God about the situation. We got to learn to protect our character at all costs and not to engage with everything that's going on in the world. A lot of times people love to say, that's just who I am. But how about this? Don't let who you are interfere with who you can become in God. Because as long as we're living, we all can stand to grow. A lot of times people go through different things in life. I've heard people that go through divorce and it just let them totally change them. And they have a friend or somebody whispering in their ear, well, if I was you, I'd take everything. I'd do this and I'll do that. Remember, you don't have to let any situation in life turn you into somebody else other than the person that God called you to be. Sometimes you might have a friendship that's broken or that's separated or that's no longer exists. You don't have to go and tell all that friend business just because you're not getting along anymore. You don't have to say anything. Just allow the separation without damaging the person's character or even without revealing their secrets. You may be right about their character. They may have bad character, but it's not your place to tell it all. And it's not being a true friend if you do so. Remember, real victory have nothing to do with winning an argument. Sometimes real victory comes in walking away so that you can still look yourself in the mirror and like the growth that you see and like the growth that God have instilled in you because you've surrendered to Him. Self-control is never weakness, so never feel pressure to respond to everything. If we all can remember this, and I'm talking to myself, ask yourself, will my response solve anything, or am I reacting out of anger? If we take the time to pause and ask that question to ourselves, sometimes we won't be so quick to speak. How do we keep our character when somebody is determined to bring it out of us? Well, if somebody is determined to provoke you to unseemly character, that's a big red flag that it might be time to separate away from that person. Because I think that those people are around me. If I'm walking and talking and my life is lining up with what I'm preaching or speaking, why wouldn't you want me to be my true self? Why would you want to provoke me to do something different? You should want to see somebody that stands in this chaotic world so that it can be an example for you. Wisdom for living in today's world requires much character, much discernment, and definitely self-control. Last but not least, it requires a true relationship with the one and only living God, not just by lip service. The real challenge for us all right now is we cannot allow the condition of this world to determine the condition of our hearts. In Proverbs 4:23 it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Stay informed, be aware, speak when you need to speak, but protect your heart and your character. And whatever you do, don't allow the chaos of this world to create chaos within you. Because at the end of the day, you still have to live with the person you're becoming. This is just something to think about. It's food for thought. Be blessed. If you like what you heard, like and subscribe to my channel for more. Let's grow together.